Hello and welcome to another episode of The Three Techs. I'm your host, Tony Tang, and I'm joined by my co-host here, Bob Fairbairn. Hey, Bob.
Oh, good evening, Tony.
Hey, so today I wanted to talk about this new podcasting microphone from Rode called the PodMic. The Rode PodMic. It's an affordable microphone specifically designed for podcasting. With an all-metal exterior designed for ruggedness and built-in pop filter to minimize plosives, and shock mount to minimize noise from vibrations, its dynamic capsule is optimized for speech. The professional-style XLR connector makes it easy to connect to the RØDECaster Pro or an audio mixer, interface, or recorder. And although there's no included stand, you can easily attach it to a standard microphone stand or boom arm with a 5/8 or 3/8 inch threaded end. At $99, it's positioned to become the affordable go-to podcasting mic for everyone. So the PodMic, Bob, is this $99 microphone from Rode that they announced last year. I think it was late in December 2018 that they announced. And it's just beginning to make it to the US in quantity. So I ordered this one and it arrived last week. And so I'd like to go ahead and test it out and compare it to this Shure SM7B microphone, which is really popular among podcasters as well.
Okay.
I thought we'd just kind of go over the website here just to review it. So the PodMic here, it's a really robust, it's a heavy mic. It weighs almost a kilogram, which is a couple of pounds. All metal construction. It's a dynamic microphone. It does have a 3-pin XLR output, which means that you're not going to be able to just plug it directly into your computer and start recording and podcasting, right? Because you're going to need XLR audio interface, a professional mixer, perhaps a RØDECaster Pro to plug it into in order to connect it to your computer. Now, the mic that I'm using right now is the Shure SM7B. This is a vocal microphone. It has a bit of history because if you go to the website here on Shure, they'll mention how Michael Jackson used it to record a few of his albums. You know, it's a great all-around mic, not just for podcasting, but also for other types of musical and vocal performances. Really popular mic. You'll see it a lot in radio stations and studios. And I thought we would compare the two because it'd be interesting to see if this $100 Rode PodMic can compare to a $400 Shure SM7B microphone.
Okay.
So what I thought I would do is just immediately switch over to the PodMic, and then you can hear how it sounds. So let's do that now. All right, so I just switched over to the Rode PodMic here, and you can hear how it sounds compared to the Shure SM7B. Bob, do you notice any immediate difference here?
Would you go back to the 7B, please?
All right, I'm back at the 7B.
Okay.
So
there's $400 right there.
There's $400
right
worth
there.
of difference right there that you hear.
Yeah, right there. Absolutely obvious. I mean, it works. It's a microphone. It's not as natural. It's shallow or something. Try switching back to it again because I didn't listen to it much.
All right, so now we're back to the Rode PodMic, and you're hearing what it sounds like here.
Kind of maybe nasally. Maybe that's a little bit of it. It doesn't sound as natural as the Shure does. The Shure is very natural sounding mic. It sounds a lot more like Tony's in the room with me.
Interesting. So in order to be a fair comparison, let's go through some of the settings on the RØDECaster to make sure I have everything set up properly. I know some of our viewers might want to know also how that's set up. One thing I should note right now is that I have all of the voice effects turned on. So I think, to be fair, we should turn all of them off and make everything as neutral as possible. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the settings here. On channel 1, I have the Rode PodMic, and if I tap on microphone, you can see that I have it set to Rode PodMic. We're all good there. When I go to level, this level is automatically set when you tap Rode PodMic. It sets it to 35, which seems to be a pretty good range there because you can see that it peaks right inside of that green range there. And phantom power is turned off because this is a dynamic microphone and doesn't require phantom power. If I go into voice, I have it set to deep and I could change these, but the point is that they are set the same on both channels, so there's no difference here. What do you think? Should I try changing this, Bob? Or?
Turn it off just to see what it sounds like.
Well, you can't really turn it off. I could change it to medium, and you could hear what medium sounds like, or I could change it to high, and you could hear what high sounds like. So I don't know if any one of those three sounded more pleasing to you than the other one.
Go back to the first one real quick.
So this is deep, and this is what was originally set to, and I don't know.
It's not a lot.
Not a lot of difference. Let's go to strength. Here you can see I have it currently set to strong. I can change it down to medium, and you can hear the difference there. I can also go down and change it to soft, and you can see or hear the difference.
You know the movies where where you're on the telephone and it's kind of scratchy and far away, and you know it's the 1930s movies. That's what it sounds like when you did that. It made it even worse. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like a bad cell phone call.
Okay, yeah. So maybe go back to strong. Is that better than soft? All right, let's go into advanced. Now here you can see I have everything turned on, and I said we should turn everything off so you could hear what the mic sounds like flat without any of the compression, de-essing, filtering, and effects processing. All right, so this is with no effects at all. This is the mic completely flat, aside from the other voice settings that you saw that we had on the other channel. What do you think of the sound right now, Bob?
You're whispering in the distance.
Whispering in the distance. Okay, interesting. Yeah. Well, let's try switching back to the Shure SM7B, and let's also switch off all of the settings there, okay?
Okay.
All right, so this is the Shure SM7B. I'm going to just go ahead and switch off everything right away.
Okay.
Okay, now this is everything off. This is still the Shure SM7B. What do you think of the sound now, Bob?
Okay, turn it back on again real quick.
All right, this is the Shure SM7B with all of the voice processing turned back on.
Okay, so the 7B by itself is dramatically better than the PodMic. I mean, just dramatically better. And when you turn the settings on, when you turn the processing on, it rounds it out. It makes it a little bit fuller. It's clean, just period. That microphone is just plain clean. I guess I want one.
Yeah, this is a new mic to me. I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it or not, but I mean, based on my experience with it so far, I think I want to keep it.
Yeah.
Here again, I just turned all the processing off. Now, the Shure SM7B, I've read a lot on the internet that people are having problems with low signal level, not able to get enough gain from their microphone preamplifiers, and they have to buy these things that use phantom power to amplify the signal even more. On the RØDECaster Pro, at least, it doesn't seem to have any problem. I mean, you can see here I have it set to 40, which the maximum gain that you can apply here is 55. So I'm nowhere near the maximum, and I'm getting the same level as I am on the RØDE PodMic.
Yeah. Seems to be working fine.
Let's kind of flip back and forth maybe between the two. So this is, again, Shure SM7B with no voice processing turned on. I'm now over on the RØDE PodMic with no processing turned on. All other settings the same on the RØDE PodMic and the Shure SM7B.
The PodMic, it's like you're further away or something. You know what I mean? It's like there's a veil between you and the microphone. So,
do you think it's volume level, Bob? Should I try increasing the gain? Because
try just kick the gain up a little bit.
I want to make sure this is as fair as possible. Let's kick up the gain a bit. So on the Shure, I had it at 40, so let me just kick it up 5 notches here, up to 40. And let me know how that sounds to you.
That brought you closer. Of course, it's a little bit louder. Now, just go over to the Shure real quick. Let me hear you on the Shure.
Okay, now this is back to the Shure SM7B.
Yeah, the Shure is richer. It's fuller. I want to use the term musical. It's more musical, and that may not make sense in this case, but the tonal qualities in your voice are there. So the harmonics and stuff in your voice are much richer in that.
Since we have all the effects turned off, I thought we would test the internal pop filtering on the microphones because they both have internal pop filters.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought we would do a little tongue twister, which we did in our RØDECaster Pro review. If you haven't seen that and you're interested in a RØDECaster Pro, go check out our other video on the RØDECaster Pro. We go through all the different effects, and you can hear what they sound like. We did Peter Piper before, so let's just stick with Peter Piper and see how the Shure SM7B does with its built-in pop filter. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Did Peter Piper pick a peck of pickled peppers? If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked?
No pops.
No pops. All right.
I want my popcorn.
Over to the RØDE PodMic, and with Peter Piper again. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Did Peter Piper pick a peck of pickled peppers? If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked?
It don't work.
It don't work?
It don't
Were
work.
you hearing a lot of pops there, Bob?
I'm hearing your air. Every time you went into the pick a peck, it's like you're hitting the front of the mic with your mouth.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
I think the other thing that I wanted to test here, Bob, is just the internal shock mount that isolates the noise for when you have it mounted to a stand or something like that, and you might get some table vibrations, other handling vibrations when you're adjusting the boom, for example. So let's first start with the PodMic. So I'm just going to gently adjust it here.
Noisy.
Okay, I'm just kind of twisting the stand, sliding it across the table here.
Yeah, I
also
can hear
bringing
everything
it
you're
back
doing.
closer to me. Okay. So you hear some of the handling noise there?
Oh yeah, heard it all. Yeah.
Okay. Let me switch over to the Shure microphone, and we'll do the same. All right, this is the Shure SM7B. So I'm sliding it across the table, kind of twisting it back and forth.
That's amazing.
Okay.
I heard just a tiny bit of when you first moved it. It was like maybe been stuck a little bit. That's the only thing I heard. Didn't hear the rest of it at all.
I mean, ideally, you wouldn't move it. The idea of the shock mount is just to reduce vibrations that might be transferred, through the desk to the stand somehow.
One of the things that I'm dealing with right now is you see this thing in front of my face, right? This is a pop filter.
Right.
Okay, so this adds $20 or $30 to the cost of your setup, and if that's built into the mic, it's something else you don't have to transport. If you're going places, hey, it was working great, really, on both of those mics. That's an advantage over my mic, which doesn't have any of that built into it.
Now, the other thing I wanted to test here is the interference and just the noise shielding. Now, this is one of the first things that I noticed with the RØDE PodMic when I plugged it in, was that I was getting this electrical hum, 60 hertz, kind of that buzzing noise. So I did try swapping the cables on these two microphones to make sure it wasn't a cable or anything like that. I swapped inputs as well, and the noise followed the microphone. So what I'd like to do now is I'm not going to talk, but I'm going to turn the volume up just a bit on the channels and see if you can hear it. Viewers out there, if you're using headphones, this is a perfect time to do that, but let's see if you can hear that noise. So this is the Shure SM7B, and I'll just be silent and see if you can hear the noise. Okay, so that's kind of quiet there. I'm now going to switch over to the PodMic. Now, I know you're saying you can't hear it, Bob, but I definitely heard it on my end when I switched over. Is that electrical 60 hertz buzz and humming noise came on right away. That's maybe one of the things that would make me want to send this microphone back. Maybe this is a faulty unit.
I would not expect that from them, even in that price range. You may have a defective one there. I don't know. I don't want to be overly critical here to a certain extent because it's a 4-to-1 price differential, right? So it's $400 versus $100. So that's a consideration for folks.
For a $100 microphone, I think the PodMic does really well. It seems to be very well constructed. It's all metal design. It seems very heavy duty and seems like it would last a long time.
There's a range of people out here doing podcasting. Many of us have done podcasting with AirPods or with the mic on an iPhone. And it works. It solves the problem for you. When you start getting to the level that you're sitting down and you're building a system and stuff like that, that's your thing. Your audio is critical in this case.
That's right. And I've gotten feedback before having done podcasts. Any sort of problem with the audio can be distracting to your message and your story. So if you're trying to do a high quality podcast, I'd highly suggest investing, the right money in the right places and the right equipment to make sure you're getting the best sounding audio possible. I hope you enjoyed this overview of the Rode PodMic podcasting microphone. So let's switch back to it one last time. So again, this is the Rode PodMic. We have the gain turned up, I think like 5 dB now, and this is with all the effects turned back on, just so you could hear it one last time before we sign off here. If you're into podcasting, if you're using the RØDECaster Pro, I think at $99, it's really tough to beat this microphone. I mean, you could buy 4 of these for the price of one of these Shures, and you'd fill up all of your 4 inputs on the RØDECaster Pro. So I think you should take a look at it. Test out the sound for yourself and see if it works for you. Thanks for watching The 3 Techs. I'm your host, Tony Tang, with my co-host, Bob Fairbairn. Give us a like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more videos, and we'll talk to you next time on The 3 Techs.